today with Julie Carlson, editor-in-chief of Remodelista, a beautiful design site, and also now a brand new book. So congratulations.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
So for those not familiar with Remodelista, tell us a little bit about the site and how it came about.
Remodelista is a site that I founded with 3 friends to totally demystify home design. It's really aimed at the person who is maybe approaching a remodel and needs to source everything in their house quickly, and then we also do a lot of design inspiration, DIYs, and so on.
So what I love, one of the many things I love about this book is you talk about the sense of personal style as opposed to perfect style. It's not about the perfect, the magazine thing. It's about coming up with your own, sense of style.
Right.
So for people, how do they hone their own design sense, their own personal design sense?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, we call it personality, not perfection. And I think that what you have to educate your eye, and you have to read, you have to look at shelter magazines. Pinterest is a great place to sort of check in every day and kind of see what's going on, and flag the looks that speak to you. Create folders. I mean, when I was doing my remodel, it was pre-internet days, and I had files of manila folders filled with tear sheets of kitchens that I loved, and that sort of and then I had my kitchen folder, my bathroom folder, and so on. And I think you need to just go through a process where you eliminate, pull out what speaks to you, and then throw out what you don't like, what isn't working for you.
Well, I think you touched on this, and actually actress Julianne Moore, who's a big fan of yours, touched on it in her intro to the book. She wrote the foreword about how now that we have Pinterest, we have the internet, we can source these things a lot easier on our own, and we don't necessarily have to rely on the contractor, the designer, as we have in the past. We can become our own designer.
Right, absolutely. And I think another thing Julianne Moore talks about in her intro, which is absolutely true, is that with that has come sort of almost an overwhelming amount of choices. So if you're looking for your faucet, you've got 2,000 faucets to sift through, and we really wanted to cut through that and pick the 10 best that we thought, in our humble opinion, were the best. And she happened to agree with us. That's how she found us.
Which is great. And Diane Keaton's a fan too, apparently. I love that.
Yes. Well, they're both hugely into design. Those two. Mm-hmm. They're very passionate about it, and they have great senses of style.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I think no one would disagree with that for sure. So a question I had for you is, I also love that so much of this is budget friendly. So what are some of your favorite budget conscious things that you found, whether you've posted it on the site or put it in the book?
Right. Yeah, well, we love to mix IKEA and higher end things. I mean, we really believe that high and low animates a space. One of the chapters in the book is one of our editors did a mini remodel on her rental kitchen, and it's hard to upgrade a rental kitchen because you don't have that much freedom to you can't tear out your counters and so on. But she came up with this ingenious solution of building a wooden counter that she just puts over a counter that she wasn't fond of. Mm-hmm. So suddenly she has this kitchen with sort of butcher block looking counters that she loves, and she's lived there for 5 years, and she gets a lot of pleasure out of that.
And that's another question I had is for people who are renters. They don't necessarily want to do a huge remodel because it's not their space, but they still want to make it their own. What other advice would you have for renters?
Well, you can do a lot with paint. Another one of our editors in San Francisco really transformed her kitchen just by changing the color of the walls. They had been this kind of sickly green, and she painted them this kind of dark, chalky gray. And suddenly her cabinets look better. She has these cherry cabinets. I mean, we did a blog post on it. If you go back and look, you can see it. But just a coat of paint.
And that's such an inexpensive
fix.
So how about for the first-time homeowners? It can be kind of daunting. You've got this blank slate. Where do you start? What are some ideas for them?
Right. Well, I think that if you're thinking about doing a remodel, the first thing you should do is get an architect to come look at the space and give you some ideas. And whether or not you go with an architect or go the whole route, there's nothing like having somebody with a trained eye to come and look at the layout, because it's really hard. You need to have a spatial sense to figure out how to make the house work best for you.
For sure.
And they do that. Architects will do that. They'll come and they'll consult with you.
That's great, and that's really a good tip to know because not a lot of us know about that.
Right.
So what would you say is maybe the biggest thing that people are doing incorrect in terms of a design no-no, or maybe your top tip for people who are just looking to remodel?
Oh, that's a hard one. Let's see. What's the biggest no-no? I I think overdoing it maybe. I think that you need to try to keep it simple. I think that people get a little carried away sometimes, and it's sort of like that. I forget who said, get dressed and then take off that one piece of jewelry. And I would say the same goes for home design. I think you can get carried away and you can have too much on your walls and too much going on. And I think you need to be constantly editing your space and making sure that you're not creating a kind of a cluttered environment.
For sure. Thanks so much. Really appreciate you joining us today, Julie. And be sure to check out Remodelista, the book, which is now available, and also, of course, Remodelista online.